viewers across the country and all over the world, this is Sports Connect, a program that looks at the major stories making headlines in the world of sports. I'm N.Wanyonyi in Nairobi. I invite your company, but first, let's look at our major stories. English Premier League top flight side Everton FC are set to take on Kenya Premier League giants Gor Mahia FC in a one-off friendly match on Tuesday 6th at the Goodison Park grounds in the United Kingdom. Gor Mahia jetted out of the country on Friday morning, and this will be the second time the Kenyan Giants are playing the Premier League side. Sierra Leone captain Umaru Bangura is calling for a speedy solution between the Sierra government and World Football Governing Body FIFA. FIFA imposed a suspension on Sierra because of a third-party interference in the running of the country's football association. Sierra is scheduled to play Kenya in an AFCON qualifier match mid this month, and the captain says the ban is negatively affecting the players. And lastly, former Benin Football Federation President Anjorin Munchrafu and 10 players have been handed prison sentences for age cheating. The failed magnetic resonance test in September saw Benin disqualified from the regional qualifiers for the Under-17 African Cup of Nations. The story on age cheating in Benin brings us to our discussion of the day. Is age cheating a hindrance to the development of the game? Is age fraud hindering the growth of the game in Africa and particularly Kenya? We shall be finding out in a while. So age cheating, commonly referred to as age fraud, has become rampant in CAF's junior tournaments. In August of this year, 3 Kenyan players were disqualified from the CECAFA Under-17 tournament in Tanzania after failing the MRI tests. 1 week ago, Benin's Under-17 team was disqualified from the West African Football Union junior tournament after half of their players failed the tests. In the same tournament, Niger, Burkina Faso, Togo, Nigeria, and Ivory Coast had 1 player each sent home. The mandatory use of magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, was introduced by FIFA in 2009 for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup to help ascertain whether players are overage or not. Magnetic resonance imaging is considered to be 99% accurate until the age of 17, after which it becomes harder for medical professionals to calculate a person's age. So is age cheating a threat to the development of the game? What prompts age cheating among players? Is it players' fault? Egyptian Football Association media officer Mehat Salabi recently said age cheating is a cancer to African football. So is age cheating really a cancer to football in Africa and particularly Kenya? Remember, you can also send in your contributions and share in the discussion by tweeting us at Sports Connect using the hashtag age cheating in football. Let's comment, let's talk, and first of all, let's take a look at a story by Diana Gola. Diana Gola is a football player sharing his sentiments on age cheating among footballers.
I am Diana Gola. I'm a footballer, 22 years old. Challenges we are facing as footballers in the country include poor facilities, poor infrastructure, and poor systems of scouting. These challenges force players to forge their ages to be able to play the game for a certain period of time. If the stakeholders of the game in the country can be able to counter these challenges, it can ensure players to be frank with their ages and to play the game from early on.
And now I'm joined by our correspondent, John Kamau. John Kamau, I understand you're on the ground and you've spoken to Diana Gola and other players, I guess. So what are they saying in regards to age cheating among footballers?
Thank you very much, Collins. Indeed, the story of Dian Ogola represents a larger number of these players here in Kenya. They are forced to change their ages so that they can suit other opportunities in the near future. This is because they are trying to make sure that they get an opportunity to play in other leagues, and being of old age may deter them from getting these opportunities. And they attributed this phenomena to the fact that they are trying to get into these academies, and the problem is that there are poor structures in these academies in the first place. The other thing they said was that these Kenyan leagues lack proper scouts, and they take players maybe based on maybe how much they are going to give them in terms of maybe monetary remunerations for them picking them. And that's all I had.
Thank you, John, for the insight. Of course, we are going to discuss the same with my panel in a few. So allow me to introduce my panel today. I have Boniface Ambani. Boniface Ambani is former Yanga Sports Club player in Tanzania, Tusker FC in Kenya, Sports Club De Goa in India, and East Bengal, also in Kolkata, India. I also have Anthony Kimani Modo. Anthony Kimani Modo is a former AFC Leopards player and Harambee Stars, that is the national team, of course. And lastly, I have Colin Stonje. Colin Stonje is a player with Daystar City FC. Let me start with you, Anthony Kimani Modo. What is your take? Age cheating in football has been rampant, especially in Africa and Kenya in particular. What is your take on the whole issue of age cheating in Kenya?
Thanks, Collins, for having me. Age cheating is a vice that has dogged Kenyan sports and African sports in general for a very, very long time. And yes, it's a big, big threat to the development of sports in Kenya and Africa. And one of the main reasons as to why it's a big, big threat to the development of our sports is the fact that kids who are at a certain age, kids who deserve to play in certain age categories are no longer playing in those categories, because a lot of overage players have forged, of course, their dates of birth and end up playing in those levels, making it very, very difficult for the kids who are rightfully at a certain age to be able to play and make an impact in that particular category. And I think the main reason as to why a lot of age cheating cases are rising up is because we have a lot of coaches who are not being true to their profession. These particular coaches cry on very, very young and vulnerable players who are out to try and make a living through sports. So these particular coaches convince the players to change their age, telling them that that's going to give them an advantage going forward. So that's one. The second thing is because we have a lot of players who are very, very good, but they don't have the opportunity or the platform to showcase their talents. And so by the time they get that particular platform, they are very, very old, or age has caught up with them. And so that makes it very, very difficult for a lot of clubs to be interested in their services. And so the only way out for them, or so they are advised, is to try and cheat their age so that they can play football for a long time, or so that they can be marketable out there for clubs. So again, it's something that should be taken very, very seriously. It's something that we should try and put a stop to if we want our kids, if we want our young kids to grow up and of course be able to participate in sports fairly.
Let me bring in Colin Stonje. Colin Stonje, of course, is a player with Daystar City. Collins, the whole issue of age cheating has been rampant among players in Kenya and Africa as a whole. What forces players into age cheating?
Well, as a young football player in Kenya, and I think basically this is an issue that is affecting Africa as a whole continent. Probably we would look at the case in Nigeria and also Cameroon. And as a young player, I think age cheating is quite an issue whereby most people do it because they actually look at greener pastures, whereby academies in maybe Europe, for example, I could give an example of Zurich, whereby there's actually an age limit to join so that you can actually be enrolled in the academy. Another issue about why we as African players, or I wouldn't term myself as a cheater, but then why most young adults cheat in Kenyan football is just to fake the amount of experience needed by the European teams. And basically, with one case whereby Lazio is also having an issue whereby one of the players has cheated from 41 years of age to 17 years of age. And this is actually one of the reasons, maybe getting experience probably, and also getting quite a number of teams to join. And mostly the issue is all about experiences needed by the teams so that the young players could actually join.
To finish us off, of course, is Boniface Ambani. Ambani, you are a coach with the FC Leopards junior team. Have you encountered any age cheating while managing those juniors? And what is your take on the whole issue of age cheating among players in Kenya, in Africa, and particularly Kenya?
10 seconds.
Anyway, it's not interesting, as you just said it, as you just mentioned it, because one thing, it slows the development of a player, and you have seen it in several occasions. It has really affected our football. That's why you see most of our junior teams, anytime they leave the country, they go maybe for any tournament out of the country, they get banned. So I think it's something that the federation should start working it on, and they should start working it on from primary level to the secondary level. So by the time these kids get to the secondary level and they're playing football in secondary, at least we have a data of each and every student. We have each and every student, you know, this is the age and the required age, the minimum age that is required. And at the end of the day, I think maybe we will have addressed that issue. But if we continue with the way things are at the moment, age cheating is still there.
So Ambani, what will be the solution to this vice, and who is to blame?
You look into the country system as a whole, definitely the structures are really affecting our football. I think the only thing that we should do, I think we just have to get back to the grassroots. I think maybe from the, as I said earlier, on the primary level, and when you identify these kids when they are still in the primary school, then you know that this is a good footballer, maybe yes, future, and then definitely from there you start working with this kid from primary level to secondary level. But now the problem is we do not have academies to where that can actually help us track these kids from the tender age up to the time they are reaching maybe 18 years and above. So that's always a biggest problem, because you see most of these kids they start emerging at secondary level, but at the end of the day you find that most of those the players who play in these under 20s, under 17s, the senior team, and maybe eventually the senior team, find that they are late starters, and then because they are late starters, and then the country just is that everybody's just thinking about winning. Nobody's even thinking about development. That's where the problem comes in. You'll find that maybe you find a kid, maybe a student who is 17-year-old. That's his real age. At the end of the day, you find out maybe they try to fix it to maybe 15 years. At the end of the day, that's age cheating. So to me, the biggest problem, I think to me, it's lack of structures. That's the first thing, and the only way out we can do it, maybe we start with the schools. Maybe we start, for example, when you go to Western, there's Kakamega High School, there's Musingo High School, there's Kibabi. You go to Kisumu, there's Kisumu Day. You go to Nakuru, there's Nakuru Day. I think we should all turn these schools into academies at the first. We use those schools as our academies for the first start, and then from there I think we can build up from there and get the real academies and get real structures. And from there I don't think this issue of age cheating will be there anymore.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your insights. Of course, we'll have to leave it at that particular point. Indeed, age cheating is a cancer to the game and a great hindrance to the development of football in Kenya and Africa as a whole. And this calls for efforts from all federations and associations across Africa to try and end this vice. Otherwise, Kenya and Africa as a whole will remain less productive and too mediocre to compete in the world stage. And that is my take. Well, viewers, remember to subscribe on our YouTube channel and let's interact. The conversation, of course, goes on our social media platform at Sports Connect using hashtag #EdgeCheating in football. I'm N.Wanyonyi. Bye-bye.